Hello, and welcome to this week's Mindset Podcast. I am here with Sam Arce. Sam Arce is a real estate team lead, and that's how we got introduced to Set Schedule. Is a real estate team lead with Tucker Real Estate Company out in the Mitchell, Indianapolis area. You had served as a captain in 1981 for the Army. You started your real estate industry in 1985, and recently you've actually been getting very much involved in theater. Mainly on the production side. Sam, thank you for joining us today. I'm really excited to kind of talk about a little bit about these three topics and really kind of maybe help a lot of our viewers take what you did, which I always love, is to take the real estate industry and utilize that to drive what you're really passionate about, which is the theater. So thank you and welcome. How are you today?
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm excited to be here and kind of talk about my journey, because that's what it is. Life's a journey, and real estate's been a journey, and it's been the gateway and highway to help me get to where I am today.
That's awesome. I want to start out because you're actually flying, and excuse me for my voice, I seem to be losing it up. I got a little bit of a hoarse voice, but you mentioned that you're flying out on Friday for the Mandela Theater play musical that you're going to be producing. Tell me a little bit about where you're going and kind of what you're expecting with that, because that's an awesome topic to start off with, I think.
Sure. Well, exciting that you mentioned it. Well, I have the privilege. I've been involved with theater. I started in 2018. It's always been a dream of mine. Years ago, prior to being in real estate, when I was younger, I started doing theater. I was an actor. I loved it. But, in my early years, while I was in college, I was doing some professional, semi-professional theater. I thought, well, maybe this is my life, but I realized this wasn't going to happen.
It never works that easily, does it?
Yeah, you know what? I was very realistic because I had some big dreams of what I wanted. So I kind of put theater in the back burner, but I never stopped wanting to be part of it. And of course, I was a big supporter of theater. And as you can see from my office, by the theater posters, and if you were down in my lower level, in my lower level, it's just basically filled with memorabilia. And what you can't see is all that's hand signed, and it's hand signed from me getting it hand signed of actors and friends of people that I know. But in 2018, I decided that I really wanted to kind of take it a step further. I always was giving back. I was seeing shows. Even though I lived in Indiana, I'm from New York. I grew up in Long Island, went to the same high school as Billy Joel, Hicksville. You hear his songs hanging out at the Village Green. I own a house there. Only the Good Die Young, Virginia. I went to school with Virginia's brother, Marty, and, it's an interesting place. And so I always wanted to give back. And I thought, well, if I make some money, maybe I'd be able to get involved with theater. And I never thought I could, because I always assumed it would just take millions of dollars. And it does. But I never thought I would be able to invest in real estate. So, I did invest in theater. And so I had this opportunity. I was going to a Broadway conventions that were more geared to the theater enthusiasts and fans. And I started to meet people that had invested, and some people that had co-produced. And as I got to know more and more people involved in the business, I realized that there was opportunity there. So I went to see my first show. In fact, you probably could see on the screen, there was this, you see my arrow there, it says Getting the Band Back Together. I went to see that show, but while it was in development, I really was taken to that show. That, and there was another one called The Prom. And it was by a gentleman by the name of Ken Davenport, was was the actual lead producer. And interesting enough, I had tickets to go see the show, and a friend of mine that I knew back from college had posted on Facebook that she said, I'm going to see my friend's husband's show tonight. And I said, oh, you know Ken Davenport? She said, no, but I'm really good friends with his wife. I said, any, way you can get
Yeah.
it. I said, no. Well, I'm not a shy person. And I met Ken and we started talking. I said, I'm really interested in your show. And I was kind of late in the game. So I invested in it. I have to tell you, it was the best money I ever invested and lost. And I'm telling you that for a reason, because it's a risk, but it was the investment. It was my gateway of meeting the people. And I got probably a master's degree of investing because I met my partners and it got me in. Now, I have to tell you that investment, because you have to be in it to win it, you have to invest, got me into all the other things that I made that money back and then some. So that got me involved with other shows, meeting the right people. One of my partners, who we're now in a new show, actually called A Beautiful Noise, which is the Neil Diamond musical. And I think that show will pay all the money back that I ever put in Davenport musical. So because I was in that show, I got into the Hard to Get show. Now that one was just an investment, but my partner Scott is a co-producer. But that got me into other opportunities, and Mandela was one of them. It was an opportunity that came through a non-for-profit that I was involved with here called Discovering Broadway. We were first introduced, and I met the lead producers that were doing it back in 2019. And it was a journey. And the interesting thing about it is the Mandela family is behind it. Two brothers from South Africa optioned the rights to it. And it's a story about Nelson Mandela. And I mean, you'd have to be living under a rock to not know who that is.
Nelson, right.
But it's a sung through musical. And it's a beautiful musical. And it's about the time when, during apartheid, when he is brought into prison and his life in prison and his life with Winnie and the warden. It's a beautiful musical. It's a very strong musical. And his granddaughter, his actual granddaughter, and his great grandson are producers involved with it. And I had the opportunity with my team to be co-producers. What a co-producer does is we help raise money to produce this, and we are having our first professional production of this project in London at the Young Vic. If maybe we have time, I'll show you a little snippet, just a couple of minutes of the story, and you can hear a little music from it. But it was a great opportunity, and that's just one of the of 4 shows that I'm co-producing, and this is going to be a big musical that will go to the West End and eventually back to Broadway. So I see this as being a big musical, and this is the way Hamilton happened, and I live by what I call the Hamilton principle. You got to be in the room when it happens, and I'm not giving away my shot. So kind of what I've lived in real estate, never knew it. It's like an opportunity comes. And, when an opportunity comes in real estate, you've got to be in the room when it happens.
Yeah.
And also, you have to not be willing to give away your shot. I learned a long time ago when I got into the business in 1995, 1985. I have to go back. In 1985.
Give yourself more credit.
That's right. Yeah. That every no led to a yes. And that I learned more from my no's than my yeses. And even in theater, you don't always learn as much from your wins. You learn from things, and I don't look at as failures. In fact, I haven't had failures. What you have is what is good, what are successes, and you don't measure everything. I look at creativity, and I'm not in it. I'm not in theater strictly for money. I'm in it for the creativity. It's my give back. It's more than just that. Like real estate, if you put money first, you might make money. But if you put people first and money second, you'll make a lot more money and you'll have a whole lot more fun. And that's what brought me balance in my life. And that's what theater does for me. So, and that's why you probably see where it comes Broadway Sam. I can tell you how I got that. I didn't name myself. It was actually one of my military, one of my Army big brothers called me that because I would go to theater so much. And he would say, his name was Paul Farinella, a much wiser older man, an educator. And where I went to school at Hofstra University, I was in a military fraternity called Pershing Rifles. And he used to say, there's Broadway Sam coming to support theater. And it stuck. And one of my partners said, you should go with it and brand yourself. So I did. Well, I have to tell you, it kind of stuck. So that's my hashtag, and that's what I use. And if you look me up, and you'll find Broadway Sam, there's only one other person that had used it. It was some Jets football player, and I have more hits than he does. So
yeah, so you get to take the name. By default, you get the name. How much of your New York, growing up in New York, do you think actually influenced your passion for theater?
Well, interesting enough, that's a great question. So I grew up in New York from when I was born till 1972, and then I lived in Miami from 72 back until I moved to New York when I was 15. But in 1972, I was born in 62. In 1972, when I was 10, my mother and father took me to my first Broadway show. Interesting story how this went around. And I recently turned 60 just this past July. And the show was an Andrew Lloyd Webber musical called Jesus Christ Superstar. You may have heard of it. It was one of Andrew's biggest shows. And that was my first show that I got to see. I don't know if you'll see it, but I'm gonna bring this down and let's see, it's gonna be hard. You might see this.
Yeah, we can see clips of it, right?
This is the original playbill. One of my best friends got this for me for my 60th birthday and had it framed.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Her name's Marie, and she got that for me as a memory. Well, I had that opportunity to see it. My sister and I, Dion, we saw this show. It changed my life. In fact, I went home, and back then we had the album and the 8-track, and I popped the 8-track in and used to listen to it nonstop. I know I'm aging myself. And I'm
you did just give us your 60th birthday. So.
And I'm going to tell you why I'm aging myself. Because it changed my life. I loved musical theater. And so that's what got me into singing and acting. Fast forward, before I was doing what I'm doing now, but I was going to see, I called it an all Jesus day, Godspell in the afternoon. Ken Davenport, interesting enough, was doing Godspell before I knew Ken, and other actors that I'm friends with now. It all comes around, and I was going to see Jesus Christ Superstar. They brought it back, and who was there but Andrew Lloyd Webber? Before Hamilton, I wasn't giving away my shot. I walked up to Andrew Lloyd Webber and I said, Lord Lloyd Webber, this was the first show I ever saw in my life. It changed my life. I was 10 years old. He said, well, now you're just aging yourself. That's what he said. And I laughed, we chuckled. He signed my playbill. I said, thank you. And I walked away. You know, when would you ever have a chance to meet him like that? Fast forward, I saw him about 6 months ago at Michael Jackson, at the Michael Jackson musical. We meet again, but this time I had my jacket or my shirt on, and I said, we meet again. But this time we had just done Be More Chill in one of his theaters in London, and I told him about Mandela, and I just co-produced Bonnie and Clyde in London. That he knew, and so I said, thank you for all you do for theater. I only had about a minute or whatever. And I said, I really appreciate how much you inspire me and all the others. And he said, keep going, whatever. I saw him passing by. It was intermission. He gave me the
Right.
Now, the other person in that was Ben Vereen. He was in the show. He also did Pippin, another show I saw. I met Ben once during Chicago at an anniversary. And then when I was doing American Son, I was an investor. This is before I was co-producing. He also came to Indiana. He remembered me. And some months back, I was at Paradise Square seeing someone that had been in Mandela in our workshop. And Ben ran into me and he said, "Hey, Broadway Sam." And he said, "What are you up to?" And he said to me, "Oh, I told him about Mandela." And he said, "Oh, I'd like to hear about it." Things full circle. You never know. The bottom line is that what I found, what theater does for me is, number one, I'm in it for the relationships, the investment. And I have to tell you, I have more friends and people that I love. And in my birthday, we had a party in New York. My sister, my family, my friend Marie gave me my big Broadway Sam birthday. And I had a lot of my Broadway friends. I have a huge friendship with Tony Orlando. You may remember Tony Orlando and Dawn tie a yellow ribbon around the old oak tree. We met at the Temptations musical, Ain't Too Proud, and became good friends. He introduced me to the Righteous Brothers. Things just happen. It's a relationship. What Broadway is magic. Broadway is different. Although now I'm involved in the movie business, what Broadway does is it's that connection where the audience and the actor are in the same room and you have this connection. And whether it's musical theater or plays. So it's a lot of fun. What I love about what I do and what real estate has taught me, I manage people. It's relationship. Is in the co-producing side, it's connecting people, it's raising money. I invest my own money. I never am involved in a project that I don't have my own finances in it, because I wouldn't say to you, Daniel, "Hey, would you invest in the show?" if I'm not invested.
If you're not right.
Yeah, because then I don't believe in it. But real estate has taught me so much because I'm in the people business, and it was a natural fit. Numbers, natural fit. Looking at the proposals, all made sense. It just was a natural fit. It was what I thought was going to be a big sandbox, of people, was so much smaller, and it was an interesting thing.
So, how do you leverage the skills that you learn in the real estate space to kind of help you propel your networking? Because it sounds like a lot of the connections you made were, again, you not wanting to miss your shot, right? You taking your shot. But what are some of the skills that you learn in the real estate space, whether it's as a team lead or as an individual agent, that helped you really drive your passion and be able to get in front of someone and say, "Hey, thank you so much," and for what you do, and turn that into an opportunity for you to actually excel in what it is that you really want to do?
That is such a great question. I am driven, direct, but not pushy. A lot of people think I've been fortunate that I was well trained. And as you know, I'm a teacher in the real estate school and real estate community. So one of the things that I believe in and I instill in my students is that I believe, and this is really, really important, that people don't care what you know until they know that you care.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very important. And in real estate, I'm blessed to be in this business. I really believe that. I am blessed to be in this business for as long as I have. And I don't plan on getting out. People say to me, "Oh, do you plan on just doing what you're doing now in theater?" I said, no. In fact, real estate gives me the opportunity to do what I do. But what real estate has taught me so many things. First off, because I care about what I'm doing and I'm involved in people's lives, I take that commitment seriously.
Mm-hmm.
First off, in real estate, you're dealing with people's biggest investment, their lives.
Most emotional attachment to anything they have. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you know, I say this, especially when I'm teaching, that I could be dealing in a person's life on a high, on a low. It could be, you know, a couple that they just got married, they're having a child, their family's growing. It might be a family that's downsizing. It may be a family that's breaking up. Maybe all kinds of things. And you deal with all kinds of emotions. You're dealing with different levels of financial things.
Right,
well,
right.
You know, the thing is that the same thing with the houses. I can't afford to live in every house that I sell, and I wouldn't necessarily live in every home that I sell. But I look at it, if for every investment somebody makes, it's their biggest investment. To them, whether it's, you know, to them, it's their biggest investment. When somebody's making an investment in theater, whether, you know, there are people in what I do that, you know, they're entry level, but to them, that's a big investment. And I want them to be treated as if they're making the biggest investment of their life. And I want the experience to be a good experience. The same in real estate. I want them to have the best experience, VIP. And the reason is, if you do a good job from somebody, and I learned this early on, if you do a good job for someone, we learned early on, they'll tell 5 people. And it used to be, if you didn't do a good job, they'd tell 55 people. Well, nowadays, we learned that has changed because of social media. They don't tell 55 people, they tell 555 people.
just by clicking a couple buttons nowadays.
In fact, people will go out of their way to be negative.
Yes.
It's sad, but that's what they'll do. So making the experience positive. And look, I'm the first one, if I make a mistake, to own up to it. Even when there's something that I may not have done wrong, but something that has gone wrong, you do something to try and make it right. Even in theater. I mean, I've had situations where, I didn't get my ticket, or this didn't happen. Unfortunately, we live in a society that everybody wants, I didn't do it. I'm not wrong.
Right. They want to point the finger.
Be a problem solver. And I don't even look at life as problems. They're challenges. So that's what real estate taught me. We don't have problems. We have challenges. How do we overcome them? And in my almost 38 years of being in the business, it helped me. So in theater, challenges happen. I have 2 new shows that I'm co-producing in Vegas, and the 2 gentlemen that are doing it, it's called Musical and the Star Wars. It's a tribute, and we get updates every day, and there are little technical issues, and the 2 gentlemen that are doing it are just great. But they're so transparent. And I was talking to one of my partners on it. I said, I just love this. I know every little nuance, every little mistake, and I don't look at them that way. I look at that. This is what's happening. This is how they're overcoming it. And this is how great they are doing at overcoming it. When I have a challenge for one of my clients on a listing or a buyer, we look on how we can make it better and go through it. And same with my team members. It's not always going to be gravy. It's not always going to be easy. In our business, it's a roller coaster of emotions. Someone asked me, said, how do you manage that? I said, you want to know the truth? I said, I have my own coaching counselor, my own therapist, somebody I talk to. Sometimes I need to have my own emotional check because I'm always there helping my people. But what I'm able to do is to keep that balance because it's tough. Life's tough. It's not easy. And you say, well, how do you maintain your energy level? That's not easy. I exercise. I'm on my Peloton every day. Not the bike. I'm on the treadmill. I'm on the treadmill, trying to stay healthy. I'm 60. I just became a grandfather on Sunday. My
That's
daughter,
right.
yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you. She's a doctor, and her husband, and they're navigating. For me, I'm like, it was just 17 years ago that I had my son. My wife and I have my daughter's 32 and our son is 17. So we had a late in life baby. But now I'm being a grandfather. This time's going to be a little different.
Yeah.
So from 60 to 70, I want it to be enjoyable for us. We've raised we're almost done raising our son, get him through college, but it'll be fun. And so theater has all those things. I'll tell you, the best thing I learned in my later life and career that I didn't have, and I wish I had early, and I do this in class, is you can have your happiness, you can have your health, you can have your success. But if you're missing balance, and that's the thing, because I think a lot of agents early on hit this, and it's hard not to. You want to be successful. You're trying to build a brand.
That's why you get into the real estate space.
And look, my partner, Greg, I give a shout out to my partner, Greg Geller. He's just doing so well. I'm so proud of him. He's my partner in Set Schedule, and we've been so blessed to be part of that. And I have to tell you this, I'm going to give you a shout out to Set Schedule. I was the skeptic. I was the one at first, and I vetted Set Schedule, and I said, let's do it. And we did it, and it worked. Where there are so many other things that are saying, oh, get the Zillow leads, I have so many people out there that are spending thousands of dollars a month on worthless, and we invested in Set Schedule and found a partnership. So to me, everything is a partnership, a win-win, and that's what we have, and that's part of what I have in Broadway, in my life with my team. It's got to be a win-win. It's a relationship. We are in the relationship business. So whether you're with your company, I'm with the FC Tucker Company. My owners, Jim Litton and our team, we're also part of the Hanna Company, the biggest. Tucker is the biggest real estate company in Indiana. We did over $4 billion worth of real estate last year. Part of the Hanna Company,
nice,
which is
very nice,
nationwide, which will do over 40 billion this year. The biggest independent, but we're still independent and personal. I know that I could call the owner of my company right now, and he would pick up the phone and he would say, hi, Sam, how you doing? How's your family? It's relationship. I get calls all the time. Would you come here? Would you go there? We'll offer you this. It doesn't matter to me. Relationship, balance, all important.
So as a new real estate, as a newly, real estate agent, who's someone who just gets into the real estate space,
sure,
finding that balance is probably one of the most difficult aspects of the industry. I mean, how much time do I invest? How much money am I investing? Where am I investing my time and money, right?
Yes.
Especially with the amount of competition out there, it's very easy to get lost in all the different variables. As someone who has been so successful, not only in the real estate industry, but leveraging the real estate industry into your passion. And again, I love that topic because most people don't get into the real estate space because they woke up or that was their childhood dream, right? Your childhood dream is not to be a real estate agent, but those who do get into it to leverage it to whether they want to get into investments, when do you find the time to say, you know what, I've invested in myself, my real estate industry, I've invested, I've grown my team, or I'm part of a successful team. Now I want to start to invest in what I'm really passionate about.
I think that's a great question. That's a great question. So interesting that, today was very fortuitous. I got a message today on FaceTime from a very dear friend, past client, who is a health coach. And she said to me, Sam, it's been on my heart. I'm thinking I want to get into real estate. This happened today, a few hours ago. I mean, it's crazy that you asked this. And I called her right before I got on the Peloton. And I mean, this person is just beautiful in spirit and heart and a body and of mind. And I've, she has been one of my best supporters. And she said, what do you think? Is it crazy or not? And I said, no, let's talk. I want to talk. So we're going to talk. And she is really, really connected. She has a base of people. She is a fitness coach. She could be really phenomenal. And we're going to sit down. Now, in thinking about that, the market's changed a little bit. This has been a hard market this last 2 years. It's been a great market, but it's been a hard market because we all had to work harder because, everybody's going for the same cheese, multiple offers. It's been a little bit hectic. Now, here's some of the things that I can tell you. First off, number one, if you're brand new, brand new or not, you're never competing against anyone else. You're competing against you. You want to be the best you can be. I am not jealous of anyone. I'm not competing against anyone. I want to be the best me I can be. There's always someone that can outspend me, outdo me, and all those things. I am not doing any of that. So I spend very little of that money on that kind of self-promotion. I spend most of my investment on my people and my relationships because I get my best return on that.
Right.
As an example, as I said, I'm not jealous. I'm inspired by other people's success. When I see other people, I say, what did they do? That's inspiring to me. This person that she inspired me to be healthier. And I'm on it. She knows I'm on that Peloton every day. There's no excuses for me. I'm going to London. The Peloton app goes with me. I know I'll be outside walking power walking the London streets. I bought myself some extra, warm-up pants. I'll go. But the fact is that I know there are people that spend more time looking at what the other person's doing. Now, maybe that if you're inspired by it, it's one thing. But if you're competing, you can only get hurt. Now, goal setting, no problem. I have a visual board right in front of me. But it's what's important to me. And a lot of the things that are on my visual board have nothing to do with real estate. They may be goals. A lot of them are on there. There was a Tesla on there. There's a Tony Award on there. Haven't gotten it yet. And I want two. And they're not because they're statues, because I want one to pass on to my daughter and one to pass on to my son. It's just all the other trophies and stuff I have for real estate are in a box. What really matters to me is the legacy I want is really are the relationships, are the referrals that come. Most of what my business comes out from referrals. Now, in the beginning in real estate, you got to work hard. So that means the open houses. You have to leverage your people. And in the beginning, people don't want to be trained on, so they're not giving you anything. So you have to leverage your successes, and they have to see it. So beat up Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook and Instagram. But you know what? As long as you're not overdoing your real estate and they see balance, and if you saw my Facebook, it's not all about real estate. Sprinkle real estate. Most of what you see about people is me thanking my clients for giving me the opportunity.
Right.
Keep letting them know how much you appreciate this thing of, hey, look at how much I did. I just sold another $1 million. Look, if all you did was sell $1 million worth of real estate in a year, you should be on food stamps because we know the numbers. But the fact is when you do take a portion of that, invest. And that's where a set schedule, you may not be able to do it right away, but you've got to invest in your education, invest in people. Take people out. Maybe you can't necessarily afford expensive lunches, but a coffee bake muffins, get Starbucks on your thing, go out and take them out for coffee, do whatever you need to do. Meet people, talk to people, have Zooms. You can do a Zoom. Maybe people are not meeting as much and you can have a Zoom. There are a lot of ways you can be creative to do things. The fact is that instead of being concerned about rejection, I say this in class, men handle rejection a little bit better than women because we get rejected early on. It starts mainly in late grade school and middle school because girls reject us. We're boys.
Right.
So we get used to it. But so what? Next. But it's okay. And you know what? We learn from that. What could we do differently? Now, once you start having success in real estate, if you don't own it, you got to buy it. If you don't own, you need to have some for yourself. Someone said to me, Sam, I want to own rental property. Well, start with what you got. If you own property, someone said to me, where do I start? Do you own a property? Buy another one. Keep the one you got. You already own it at the low interest rate. If you can keep that one, do that. I own a lot of real estate. I bought and kept. That's what gave me the ability to be, at this point in my life, I could retire. I have income that is passive. I've done the right things early on, and I started in real estate in 1985. I was born in 62. You do the math. I was in my early 20s. And you said something early on. You said, most people, I swore I'd never do this. My grandfather was in the business. My dad was in the business. I thought I'd go to law school. And when I was an Army officer, I thought, what am I going to do? And my father said to me, why don't you give real estate a try, but you can't come work with me.
Right.
And I didn't. And I made it on my own. In fact, I far surpassed what he did. He did something different for other reasons. We even had a business together. I lost my mom in 1987. I moved here in 91 for various reasons, but I was fortunate. When you succeed, keep investing, put money away, pay down debt, keep a low debt as much as you can. Well, Sam, the interest rates are high. You got to get on the train sometime. If the rates come down, refinance. Oh, but it's not as good as it was last year. Well, you know what? I bought my first house in 1986 at 11 3/4. The home was 159.5 in New York. I had to put 50 down, 50 to fix it up, and 11,000 for closing costs. And I was in my early 20s. Woe is me. You do what you have to do and you move on. You just keep growing and growing and growing, and you build and you build and you build, and little by little. And the younger you are, the more chances you have of succeeding. A lot of times people that come into this business late in life don't have the drive. They may have the financial resources, but if they don't have the drive. Now, if you have the drive, the financial resources, and the network, you can do really, really well in this business. But you have nothing to lose if you're willing to do it. Now, if your passions are outside of real estate, what can it do? What are they? So for me, it was theater. Whatever it is, if it's, I believe, and in our company, we call paying your corporate rent. My for-profit or not-for-profit is theater. I'm also involved in a non-for-profit called Actors Theater of Indiana. That's our non-for-profit. I just came off the board of another one called Discovering Broadway. I do a lot of give back to in New York. There's Broadway Cares, which is a big one, and any of the actors, and of course, my church and things of that nature. I think giving back is so important. Real estate is given to me, and what I get from real estate, I want to give back to my community. So I invest in that. In fact, one of the other things I've gotten involved in is now I'm part of getting involved as a movie production company, and it is invested in Indiana. A lot of the theater that I've gotten involved with had a beginning. I'm going to do a workshop in London called Super U, and the lead producer went to Ball State. I'm doing another musical called Fly More Than You Fall, and the gentlemen that were involved in that went to Bloomington, IU. So it has an Indiana thing. This movie production company that I'm working with, filming in Indiana. So you can find things that you love. And if you find things that you love, it's not working. And real estate, I've been blessed. I have a lot of friends that are like, I can't wait to retire. I don't know that I will retire. I probably won't take my Social Security till the last possible moment. And if you enjoy what you do, it's not work. So realistically, in my opinion, the bottom line is if you work hard, work smart, enjoy what you're doing, and really care, you'll have fun. This is a tough business. The average lifespan of an agent is not long, but the ones that really commit can have a lifetime in this business. It just depends.
So one thing I really appreciate about you, Sam, is the passion that you have, not just for what you're passionate about, which is obviously the theater, but for life in general. This question has come up a lot, and it's kind of becoming my go-to because, you know, my CEO also here, Roy Deckel, and you've talked about set schedule quite a bit. And by the way, you and Greg are, you know, one of our top percenters when it comes to you know, number of transactions. So you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for all the work that you guys do.
Well, we appreciate it. We love the partnership.
Thank you. And I talked to him about this a lot because he's also a very passionate person. He has a military background, and I think those who've been in the military do have this passion for life because, I mean, to some level of degree, you had bullets whiz past your head, right? How much more passionate can you be about life to be thankful about not getting hit that way? What level of passion is allowed in the real estate industry when it comes to your communication, when it comes to the business? Do you believe that a high level of passion, or maybe in theater as well? I mean, obviously with theater, there's a lot of emotion and passion to that, right? But what level of passion do you believe should be allowed within in business to be successful? Is there that fine line, or is it just depend on the person?
Yeah, there's a fine line and there's a level. I think as long as you're authentic with yourself, I'm me. I'm and you're not phony. I'm very real. You see what you get what you see. I'm not a phony. I'm who I am. There are some people in this business and in life that turn it on and turn it off.
Mm-hmm.
I live my life this way. I think attitude is everything. I think you can make a choice. You can get up in the morning. I know a lot of people do, and they're just like, it's gray, it's cold. I don't want to, they have no zest for life. They look at everything. My daughter is such a great example. There are people that are half full, half empty. She's all full, and she inspires me. I'm pretty much all full. Yeah, there are days that, I've had tough days, but I work through it. And, I try to encourage my son. He's, the pandemic was tough on our young adolescents. It was tough for them. And, I try to inspire my team, the people that are in my life, and anybody in my life, that if you do your part, we can make a difference. Life's full of challenges. It's all how we respond. Mm-hmm. It's our attitude. I can only control me. Can't control the rest. In life, I mean, We're surrounded by people. I don't control what they do, but I can control how I react. And yeah, I make mistakes. Sometimes I'm not always at my best. And, I'm the first one to say, I made a mistake and I'm sorry. Own up to that. With real estate, you're going to have days where you're not going to be at your best. I learned this a long time ago. For me, early on, I used to call this Friday. Friday was my day. Friday movie day. Friday was my day that I used to treat myself to a relaxing movie, early afternoon movie, because the weekends you were going to be busy. So when the movies would come out, I would go watch a movie. It was my 2-hour vacation. I could go in with a problem, come out with an answer, and never think about it. It gave me time to just think, to just not think, but think subconsciously. My brain was just chillaxing, so to speak.
Right.
I was just kind of doing it. And I did this for the majority of my career up until the pandemic. In fact, I have an AMC membership that I own the stock, and good and bad, but where I would sit down. In fact, sometimes I say, but you sometimes fall asleep at a movie. Doesn't matter. If I fall asleep, if I relaxed, it gave me that downtime. What it did for me, whatever it is, if I'm having a bad day, or if I'm having a bad time, now that I'm from home, if I put on relaxing music, something, get on the treadmill, whatever I need, what I don't do is answer that phone in a heightened state. What do you want? You know what I mean?
Right.
Give yourself a chance, breathe, and go to it. Because there are going to be times that in your career, in any given day, you're going to have good news and bad news all in the same day, and you're going to have to deal with it. A deal is good, and another deal is blowing up. And as a team leader, I'm helping manage that and coaching my people. And even in theater, I have good news and bad news and challenges, I'm here and I get a call from London, hey, this is happening or that. You've got to deal with it. The great thing about our business is we get paid, and we get paid very well to deal with these challenges. And when we recognize, and we work hard. I mean, I don't think people realize how hard we work for. And then sometimes you sold a $300,000 house at 3%. That's $9,000. You got $9,000. They don't realize, well, there's a company, and then maybe there's set schedule, and and they don't look at how many houses we had to show and all that. They don't get it. Right. They just drive a nice car or whatever. They don't get it. But what I think is so important is that put yourself in the other's shoes. And that's one of the reasons why, for me, what I'm trying to let my clients know and my friends know is I love life. I'm happy I'm alive. I had some years back, something happened to me health-wise that could have killed me. And then when I had that deal with God, I'm okay. I was like, I am never going to take life for granted. When you have an opportunity, and having my son now, having my grandson, we all make mistakes. I've made mistakes in life, but we're given a gift, and no matter what your faith is, we're given this time. Do the best you can with it. We represent ourselves and our company. And my feeling is, when we're out there, people are watching even when we don't realize it. And on social media, I'm going to tell you, if you're watching me on social media, I'm not negative. I'm not political. I don't make big stands. It's not for me to do. I'm in the public eye. It's not for me to do. It doesn't mean I don't have views. it doesn't mean I don't feel that it's not for me. I'm not critical. It's just like in theater. I don't have the right, I'm not a theater critic. That's not my job. I don't poop on somebody's creativity. I'm not there to do that. I'm there to inspire people, encourage people. And if you ask me one-on-one, maybe we'll have a little bit more personal discussion. But I think in life, it's tough enough. Let's inspire each other. Let's be there for each other, and as far as getting in the business, there are people, and I know this, that have been in the business a long time. Don't do it. Don't do it. I'm not that one. I'm saying to you, if you want to do it, as long as you go in it with it eyes wide open, financially are able to do it, especially if it's, if you're single, know that you have the resources. If it's a couple, make sure that one is able to handle the financial thing, because it's an entrepreneurial investment. But if you can do it, the sky's the limit. And by the way, that was what they told me when I went to my first career seminar. My first broker, Joe Janis in New York, he's still a broker. He's a good friend of mine. And we still mentor each other now. And my first manager, Peter O'Connor, he said to me, he took us outside, said, look up in the sky, says, that's the limit. And it's true. In real estate, I know people making millions of dollars. But what I can tell you, again, balance. How much is enough? What do you really need? And be realistic. And when you're making money, invest in what's important. And that is your family, your community, how much. I live in Indiana. My friends in New York know what I've got. They're like, oh my gosh, you have some life. Well, that's why I'm able to do what I do in New York. Because if I lived in New York, I wouldn't be able to do what I do because of the cost of living. And just like you live in a beautiful community, but the cost of living is quite more expensive than it is here. I tease, I say in my class, I say, secret, this is our secret. We live in God's country. It's affordable. It's, where we live in my own little community, Carmel, Indiana, has been in Barron's. It's been in the top place to live so many times. They say it's our little secret. It's the city of roundabouts, but it's a great place to live. There's so many great places to live in the United States. Everybody has a reason for why they live where they live. I love going to New York. I'm excited to go to London, but I'm blessed, and it's a great life, and I'm going to make the best of it for whatever God has me on this earth for, and it's fun, and I'm glad we've had this opportunity.
Yeah, well, Sam, we're thank you for joining me on this. Some awesome fine, I guess, some last words for us. Thank you so much. I wish you the best of luck on your travels, and I'm looking forward to hearing how your next set of plays come out.
Thank you to Set Schedule and for having us. I know that we really appreciate being part of the team, and love to do this. If there's any other topics you'd like to talk about, we could always do this again.
Certainly. Sam, thank you so much. Guys, thank you for watching this week's Mindset, and we'll see you on the next one.